What's up, everyone? Today we have an incredible story about a wife who desired an open relationship but now regrets it. Hello, everyone. I never imagined I'd be at this position, asking strangers on the internet for advice, yet here we are. My wife and I have been together for 10 years and married for 8. We met at college and were each other's first and only. I honestly thought we had a one-of-a-kind and beautiful connection because of that, but it turns out that was just me. My wife started working for a new company a while back. She struggled to fit in at first because she has always been reticent, but with my support, she formed friendships with a group of girls, some of whom were single, divorced, or dating but not married. At first I was pleased that she had made friends, but then she began going out for drinks, parties, or whatever her pals had planned. I grew concerned about her change in behavior and tried to talk to her about it, but I didn't want to limit her in any way. It began to have an effect on our sexual relationship. My wife was not one to initiate intimacy, but with her frequent outings, she was either too sleepy or not in the mood. Her firm eventually hired a new boss, whom my wife and her friends admired. She started mentioning him in passing, but eventually she was pointing out how he handled difficulties that didn't appear to be work-related. I questioned her about her fascination with this man, and she dismissed my concerns. She even asked if I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I replied that she was all I ever needed. I swear I noticed a flash of melancholy in her eyes, but she swiftly changed the topic. She began discussing open marriages as a way to spice things up in our marriage. I was taken aback since my wife has never been this type of person, and she is not particularly sexually liberal. I had initially declined, and inquired whether this had anything to do with the new boss, to which she denied, but stated that she thought she had missed out, but didn't want to lose me, so this was a safer option. I questioned whether she was playing with fire, and then hesitantly and stupidly accepted. So we established certain ground rules, the most important of which was not to sleep with anybody else in our home. So after a year, my wife goes on dates, has one-night stands, and then, as if I didn't expect it, develops a relationship with that manager. I, on the other hand, had a few dates but no one-night encounters since they always felt improper to me. My wife would inquire if I was okay but would not change her conduct. At some time I realized that the love I had for her, the pure, magical innocence of marriage, had vanished, and it was killing me within. I ended up going on a date with a wonderful woman who had migrated from South Korea. Conversation was effortless. She possessed the wit of a lightning-fast whip crack and a smile that could make anyone forget himself. This, of course, led to other dates until we were intimate. I've honestly never had sex like I did with this woman. I never imagined a woman could be that generous and make you feel so wanted. My wife thought it was cute at first, but after a few months, she began to question my relationship with my boyfriend. I quickly told out that this was her idea, and that she even had a relationship with the manager I was concerned about. She was silent. She appeared to want to say something but kept her tongue. She started coming home early to surprise me with dinner and make the house extra clean. She also started dropping off lunch at my workplace and initiating intimacy in the bedroom. Honestly, if it hadn't been for her opening up about our marriage, which I share responsibility for, I would have been overjoyed. I hardly gave in to her attempts at intimacy, and all I did was get it over with. Something inside of me died for my wife, and I could tell she felt the same way. I inquired as to what had caused this shift in her, and what was changed. The reaction I received was that she wants to show me that she loves and is content with me. I never meant to, but I broke out laughing. I inquired about her small network of pals, her manager lover, and her one-night stands. She did not answer that day and instead went to bed in tears. The next day I returned home to find her waiting for me. She told me she wants to end our marriage. This entire event was a terrible mistake, and I regret everything and want us to be the center of our relationship again. I told her to be honest with me and tell me what inspired all of this in the first place, and wouldn't you know it, her group of friends planted the idea due to their numerous sexual exploits, and when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live freely. Apparently it turned into an emotional affair. However, the marriage only became physical once it opened. Wow, that makes things better. She characterized it like driving drunk in a rapid car. It was exciting and intoxicating, but the cost of the decision has become too high for her to bear. She now realizes she never needed a comparison, and that what we had was truly unique and special. But she feels as if she killed our marriage and any hope of a life together. When I told her that I might never see her as my wife again, she burst into tears in front of me. I simply held her in quiet while she wailed, and she fell asleep in my arms on the couch. She has since quit her job, severed ties with all of her friends and her manager, and even stated that she is willing to spend the rest of her life making amends to me and working her fingers to the bone in order to be considered a wife. But I haven't stopped communicating with my lover. My partner, quite frankly, makes me feel like a man, like if I can take on the world, which my wife hasn't done in a long time. The truth is that I don't know what to do in this case. I'd like to rekindle the unique feeling, but my lover literally saved me when I was at my lowest point. Please, help me. Forgot to mention that we have our first marriage counseling session in a few hours. I'm not sure how that will proceed. The therapist appeared friendly and experienced. She appeared unbiased and willing to assist. Despite the fact that it was our first session, my wife appears to have taken advantage of the chance to lay it all out. She admitted that this group of friends made her wonder if she had squandered her opportunity because she was dedicated to her first lover and had no previous experiences. That she did not have the same adventures as some of these apparently outstanding women. Remember that some of them are divorced, but none are married. The therapist told out that this can, and frequently does, harm a marriage owing to a difference in thinking. My wife appeared to agree, then went on to say that once the new boss approached her, some of her friends encouraged her to take the opportunity to explore or discover herself. She obviously felt bad, she claims, so she never did anything physical until one of the divorced proposed an open marriage as a solution, telling her that some couples emerge stronger as a result. So, after reluctantly, as she claims, convinced me to open up the marriage, her so-called journey began. And dazzling, yet lacked true substance. Not the kind we've established over the years, and she began to question her motivations for doing so. She admitted she could see the pain in my eyes, but she persuaded herself it was an experience. She stated she would never forgive herself for this. Her opportunity to enjoy an incredible time, so the gravity of the situation didn't reach her until she sensed a difference in me. She assumed that because I went on dates, I would eventually accept her condition and be fine with it. But all changed when my sweetheart made a regular appearance in my experience. Apparently I began to smile again for no reason, and my eyes would light up when I received a text message or gleefully exited the room to answer a phone call. She stated that she immediately felt a pit in her stomach and began experiencing frequent panic episodes for no apparent reason. She sought to her friends for advice again, but they said it was a typical reaction for me to have throughout the trip. But when the same divorced one who suggested it in the first place remarked, it appears that his lover makes him happy, the reality of it all hit her. The very possible potential that another woman, rather than his wife, had brought him delight nearly made her pass out. She recognized how ludicrous everything was and begged them to help her win me back. But they simply said that if she couldn't deal with it, why did she start her marriage in the first place? She recognized right away that these people were toxic and a threat to our marriage and the life we'd built together, so she's been on a mission to win me back by any means possible. I, on the other hand, didn't say much. But I did tell the counselor about my problem with my lover still in the picture, to which the counselor responded that no resolution could ever be made with my boyfriend still in the picture, and suggested we schedule another meeting after tomorrow. The counselor stated that it was unusual for someone to stay with her for so long, and conveyed the notion that any storm could be withstood. I really feel she wants us to be one of her success stories. Sorry for the lengthy post, but I decided I should provide a thorough update. I still haven't worked out how to link postings, and I'd like to thank everyone who has contacted out. I apologize for not being able to respond to each and every one of you, whether through the inbox or the post. Anyway, here's an update thus far. Thank you for your continued support. It's practically been a Jerry Springer episode. I've since moved into an apartment owned by my brother at a stupidly low fee. He owns homes and offered to let me stay for free, but I rejected. Just a few things I've discovered about my wife's behavior, as well as some alarming facts concerning her management. During our second therapy appointment, I asked some of the same things that some Redditors did. 1. If she was certain that nothing physical occurred prior to the start of the marriage. She looked to the ground and begged me not to make her say anything. She said that if she stated it, it would ruin us, but after some prodding, she admitted that it was not physical, but they touched themselves in front of each other. This jerk convinced her that because it wasn't physical, it wasn't technically cheating, and that they were merely admiring each other's full beauty. I was completely taken aback, and she began shaking and hyperventilating, with snot streaming from her nose as she screamed and apologized to me. At this point, even the counselor was surprised. Wore an expression of incredulity. My wife dropped down on her knees and hugged my legs, saying she was sorry. 2. I then asked her what had changed her opinion of him. She claimed that as she began withdrawing from the group as a whole, his behavior toward her changed. Then, one evening as she was leaving a conference, she went by his office and overheard him talking about her with another male coworker. He stated he was amazed at how easy it was to get her, and that she is living proof that you can't trust quiet people. When the colleague inquired if he liked her, he replied that she was a wonderful distraction and that he had no intention of ending his relationship with his girlfriend. He also said that this was only to get it off his chest because the one woman who had ever understood him was his girlfriend, and he didn't want to break up with her. He also remarked that he felt sorry for me, but you snooze, you lose. My wife's realization that she was nothing more than a piece of meat to this man, along with the fact that she had betrayed me for a cheap thrill, drove her to suicide at the time. She stated that she left her employment and vomited in the parking lot. She also mentioned that her initial thought was, "What have I done? And my name, please forgive me, I am deeply sorry." 3. I then asked her if she loved him and when she had stopped loving me. She looked me dead in the eye, cried, and said she would never stop loving me, which makes it even worse, and that he was just different. She thought that was love, but now she sees how silly she was. She clutched my arm with surprising power and told me she understands she made a mistake, but she misses us and our connection before everything happened. She even proposed that we go away and start over, just the two of us, like it was supposed to be. I then informed her that it wouldn't be fair to my partner, and that I needed time apart from her to absorb everything. She appeared to have had a tantrum when she heard those comments. She began sobbing louder and mumbling incomprehensible things. She clutched me as if I was about to vanish. It took some time for both me and the counselor to calm her down. The counselor persuaded her that maybe time apart could help us heal. I wish I could conclude the update here, but as soon as we arrived home, I started packing. My wife received a video call from her laptop. Her former acquaintance was in tears. It turned out that after my wife departed, this friend and the manager started their own relationship, but apparently she had a pregnancy scare, causing him to basically transform into Dr. Jekyll. To make matters worse, she had a boyfriend with whom she seemed to envision a future, and the only reason she had a fling was because she was intrigued about the experience. It's funny how it appears to be a trend. Her boyfriend found out after seeing an email between the two discussing the possibility of a pregnancy, but the manager accused her of baby trapping him. Of course, he left her. And the reason she contacted her was because she believed my wife had saved our marriage and was frantically seeking assistance. I just turned left and have been staying in the flat ever since. Update 3. My wife's abnormal behavior and how it affected us. Some events have occurred thus far, as has my determination to move forward. First, thank you to everyone who took the time to contact out and offer either good advice, a comparable life story, or simply an ear for me to vent. It means a lot. Well, a lot has happened. The former friend who had the pregnancy scare was actually pregnant, but the stress of losing her boyfriend and being humiliated by the affair caused her to lose the baby. She practically went wild, wreaking havoc on the manager. She introduced him to all senior management and his fiancée. I chanced to find his fiancée on Facebook. Was curious. And this woman is essentially the poster child for a pretty little town girl. According to her profile, she is a special needs teacher who enjoys being at home and spending time with her family. My first impression was, what the hell is he doing messing around with other women when he has her at home? To be honest, why men like him wind up with women like her is one of life's great mysteries. The previous friend actually contacted me. She wanted my account of the events because she was gathering evidence against him. But she preferred to do it in person. She had previously had her COVID test, as did I. I agreed. From the moment I saw her face, I knew she was broken. The dark bags beneath her eyes and her crimson iris clearly indicated that she had not slept and was troubled by her own thoughts. She thanked me for agreeing to meet with her and instantly apologized for her involvement in my wife's adventure. It turns out that she and my wife chatted again, and that's when she discovered I'd moved out. She refused to shift blame and wanted to accept responsibility, which is why she wanted to meet in person. I complimented her for her efforts but questioned why she would go so far. She claimed that losing both a kid and the love of her life fundamentally altered her personality. She claimed she can't look in the mirror without feeling disgusted, and she can't sleep because all she sees is her ex's face the day he found out. This woman obviously despised herself, and the encounter could have been a form of punishment for her. She informs me that because fraternizing among coworkers is a violation of conduct, and especially because he was in a position of influence, he will most likely be dismissed and possibly banned from that industry as a whole. But the same could be said about her as well, and she accepts it. She left after hearing my side of the story and apologized again. I wanted to collect a few things from the old place, so I chose a time when I didn't expect my wife to be home. Unfortunately, she was present, but what shocked me was that she had the majority of our wedding photos out on the coffee table, as well as others, and was staring at them. When she noticed me, I could tell she was crying. She attempted to hug me, but I gently pushed her away. She offered me lunch, but I declined, saying I wasn't hungry. And wouldn't be long, just needed a few items. Before I could begin, she announced that she had something to show me. She took out her phone and showed me a message she received 2 days ago from her former manager, who berated her. It came from a new number because she had blocked his previous one. My wife apparently helped her former buddy expose him to all necessary parties, and he was furious. She claimed she got the idea from Chump Lady and Marriage Builders. She believed that by disclosing the truth, she was shifting its influence and giving us a fighting chance. I informed her that while I was delighted she had the bravery to do so, it made no difference in our relationship. I also informed her that I will no longer be providing marriage counseling, and that we will instead conduct individual counseling. This made her sob gently, and she expressed her understanding. I know I'm meant to feel either pleasure over the acts taken or fury since it took so long. But I'm numb towards her. This is not typical, which is why I want to address it in individual counseling rather than marriage counseling. I also saw a divorce lawyer on my brother's advice just to be safe. As of now, I am not willing to fight for this marriage, and it appears that my wife can sense it. Before I left, she attempted to initiate intimacy. But when I declined, she raged and questioned what my boyfriend provides for me that she cannot. What does she, the lover, offer that the wife cannot? She said, in a voice so loud that the neighbors must have heard it, that anything I requested, she, wife, would do it. I shook my head and informed her that if she couldn't tell after everything that had transpired, our marriage was doomed and left. Dang up, your wife has truly begun to recognize the repercussions of her conduct. The sad truth is that she would give anything to go back in time and avoid making the same awful decisions, but that is not how things operate. Maybe she can work on herself and become a better partner, but it won't be with you because she's already destroyed this life. The one thing you can be certain of is that she will always remember you and regret her actions. That's more than many of us got from our missteps. Good luck to you.